YouTube. Hello. Yes, hello. How are you doing? I always say I'm not going to do another video, and I end up doing another video because I just love talking about stuff. Like I just love it. And I wanted to do a piggyback off of Stephan Speaks. Those of y'all, Stephan Speaks, he's a wonderful influencer. He also started from YouTube, but he's on pretty much everywhere, Instagram, whatever. And he was saying some things that I feel like I need to say it from a woman's perspective. He's a man, that's a man's perspective, but I wanted to get right into it. So he said 3 things that you should know as a woman if you don't want to talk to somebody or be in a relationship with somebody. Some of the things he was saying is true, but a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our grandmas and mothers having pity. So some things he was saying I do agree with. So the first thing he said is attraction. If you're not attracted to a man, you shouldn't be dealing with him. I do agree to a certain point, because for me personally, there's men that have been, like I told you previously with my first cycle, he was very physically attractive, but I wasn't attracted to him because, like I said, I go by attraction, physical attraction, and energy. And I remember having like a small conversation with my coworkers. This was some months ago, maybe like 7 months ago. And I didn't get deep into it because like my son's teacher was calling me, and I just heard a snippet of what they said. And he was talking about his friend not getting girls because of his look. And I'm like, it was never about looks, because like Biggie Smalls had girls, and you have a lot of men that's not attractive physically, but they get girls. Why? Because it's about energy and confidence, ultimately. Like, I'll date an average guy, but if he got confidence and he has the energy that I'm looking for, the masculinity, hell yeah, I'm gonna go with him. You could be fine as fuck, but if your confidence is not there, you're not getting girls, or you're not gonna get the girl that you want ultimately. Just like we all know really pretty women that they've never been on a date, or they get guys that don't want them past the bedroom. It's because of the way they present themselves. It's ultimately their swag. So he was saying to women, if you're not attracted to a guy, you shouldn't pursue him. But for me, attraction comes and goes. Like with my ex, initially, yes, I was attracted to him, but he was doing things that was not attractive, which made me unattracted to him, if that makes sense. So you could start off with not being attracted to him, but I would say give him a chance. Don't just, oh well, like he was like, oh, if a guy is short and you don't like short guys, there's no reason to entertain him because he's never gonna grow height. But I would say is get to know him as a person, look inside of his whole soul. And I've always been that type of person, and that's one thing that, you know, I've been accused of being shallow. It's not that I'm shallow, but sometimes it's a coincidence that you have an ugly man and he's ugly inside too. So then that comes off as shallow. No, I actually look at the soul of a person, literally. Like, you have good looking men that have really good energy. It's a coincidence that they happen to look that good. But it's not because we're shallow, it's because we're human. He was like, number 2 is pity. If you getting with a guy with pity, he was like how he know a woman that he proposed to her in front of a room full of people. She married him, and 10 years into the marriage, she cheated and got with somebody else. I'm 1000% sure there was a reason why she didn't really want to be with that guy. Like, I'm 34 years old, and I don't know any woman that just doesn't want to be with a man for no reason. Like I said, we all have energies, we all have spirits, we all have souls. So you don't know what she's going through with that guy behind closed doors. You know what I mean? Like, I had a former friend or coworker we didn't have a beef or anything. She just lives in another state. But I'm super, super, super happy for her. Now, her husband is not the best looking guy. She married a white guy, but you could just tell, like, she's super, super happy. She's very, very happy. And the mistakes she kept making in her relationships, she kept getting with guys that she didn't like. And I told her, I was like, girl, you know, stop getting with, the reason why they treating you like shit is because this is what happens. And we were talking about this on Instagram just now. A woman, she's another influencer. She said when a man starts distancing himself, he's getting closer to someone else. That's not always the issue. Men distance themselves. Men are very smart, right? It's just like, as a woman, you know when a man is into you and when he's not. Sometimes we lie to ourselves because we want to be with that guy so much. But you can kind of tell if he's into you or not. It's not rocket science. Men know that shit too. But what men, though, they're not going to keep pretending like a woman. Like a woman, she don't have to be into you, and she'll have 5 of your children. She'll marry you, cook and clean for you, and not be into you. It's true, because women do it all the time in every race. It's not just black women who do this. This is women of all races. Because why? We've been brainwashed that if a man wants to be with you or marry you, is the best thing since sliced bread. No, you know, we're not conditioned that our feelings matter too. Women lives matter. Women feelings matter too. We're not taught that. We're taught if he's a man and he provides and he shows interest. Like, I remember being in high school, and I had a friend, I don't know if she felt like I was unattractive, but she used to say stupid shit like a lot of guys liked me in school, right? But I didn't like nobody because they was all dusties as far as I was concerned. Like, I did not want to date them. And she would be like, at least somebody likes you. It's like, so what? So you feel like I should date one of the dusties because, like, it just didn't make sense. But I'll never forget she said it because she used to say it a lot, and she's supposed to be my friend. I'm like, why would you want me to settle with somebody I don't like? I don't like him. Oh, he likes you. So what? But I said that to say this. We're conditioned to do that, to get with somebody because they like us. No, this is not how I love Jesus because he first loved me. Fuck that. If I was to get with every dude that liked me, I'd be a super hoe. Like, and it's not to boast myself, but there's a lot of guys that like me. A whole lot. Like a whole lot. A whole lot. You know, I can count on one hand how many dudes that I actually liked and really wanted to be with in my lifetime. And it's not many because you got, like I said, you got a lot of good looking guys, but their personalities are ugly. You know, they're just ugly people inside. So I don't want that either. I don't want someone who's selfish. I don't want someone who has mental health issues. I don't want somebody who has hygiene problems. I don't want somebody who's addicted to porn. I don't want somebody who slept with prostitutes. I don't want none of that. I don't want it. Return to sender, you know. But a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for pity. He was like, you shouldn't be with a man if it's for pity. And I agree with it. But a lot of the times when women don't want a man, it's because of his actions. It's because of who he is. I've never heard of a woman turning down a man for no reason, right? It's usually a reason. Us as women, not only do we have our intelligence and common sense, we've been blessed with something called women's intuition. So we could feel something about a relationship. We have no evidence, but you feel it. You feel it. It's women's intuition, right? On top of having common sense and life experience, we could feel it. Even as women, your friend could tell you something and you could be like, no, that ain't right for you. And we be right because it's called women's intuition. Like, it's real on top of common sense. So if you're dating a guy and you don't want to be with him, guarantee, ladies, it's probably a good reason. But at the same time, if it's something shallow, and when I say shallow, I mean physical, like something like his height, don't write him off. That's ridiculous. Like, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of some men are like that. Like, they could meet a woman, she could be wonderful, but they won't date her because, like, I had somebody tell me, and I thought this was so ridiculous. He was like, his dentist was trying to holler at him, and I was like, oh, that's a good look. He showed me a picture and everything, and I'm like, well, she's pretty. He didn't think she was attractive. I'm like, okay, whatever, beauty's in the eyes of a beholder. But I'm like, she's a dentist, why you don't want to talk to her? He's like, oh, because she makes more money than me. Yeah, so he finally admitted it and was like, well, she makes more money than me. I don't want to date a woman who's making more money than me. Or something like that, he said. And I'm like, most women make more money than you. So it's like, you know, you basically don't want to be with nobody. It's like, you know, not saying that his salary is so low, but his salary is kind of like the low middle. So it's kind of like you're limiting yourself because you don't want to, you know, but ultimately he's not attracted to her. So that's why I never went further, right? He's not attracted to her. It's not like with me. Like with me, back in 2018, this is between my recent ex and the ex before him. So I was single for like, how long was I single for? Over a year, like a year and a half I was single. And before I met my recent ex. And I had met a GYN. He was a GYN doctor. And our sons were playing in Prospect Park. I never told y'all that. So this goes into a story time. But anyway, so he said he was 45 and he looked a lot older. Like a lot older. And we messed around one time and I never did it with him again because he smelled like fish down there. So I'm like, you a man. And yes, I use protection. I always use protection. But that was a turn off to me. Like for our first time, you smelling like fish down there. And then him being a GYN, he had a nerve to talk about women's vaginas and how they look and smell. I'm like, but your man down there don't smell good. So how dare you? But me and him didn't get along for nothing. And I think it was because of at the time I was what? I was 29. Yeah, I was 29. And so I feel like he had to be much older than 45 because the mentality was just so different from mine. Like the stuff that he would say, he didn't like white people. I said, but you live in Park Slope. So he's like, oh, I don't have a choice. I'm like, but you can move to St. Albans. St. Albans is a very nice black area. Cambria Heights. I understand, yes, Brooklyn, we don't have no good black areas. We really don't. And it's unfortunate in Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn. But you could move to Queens, where Cambria Heights is a nice area. St. Albans is a nice area, black area. Different parts of Long Island have nice black minority areas. Yeah, like you could find you a nice black area. Star City is a nice black area. Like you don't have to force yourself to live in Park Slope if you really don't want to be around white people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have choices now, but whatever. But I didn't like him. It had nothing to do with his look. It had nothing to do. It was his personality and our conversations over the phone that what ultimately turned me off. I didn't say, well, he's a GYN and like a lot of women from my perspective, I'm from urban town, you know, Brownsville. So some people may not want to deal with him because they feel like he bougie, whatever. I do not mind bougie people at all. They cool. But my thing is you have to be open-minded. One time, because his thing was, oh, you know, I'm trying to get back. He was trying to get back into my life. I said, well, I met someone. By this time, I had met my ex. And He's like, oh, are you happy? I'm like, relatively. He's like, oh, well, let me prove to you, like, let me take you out. I said, okay, there's a Lil' Kim concert coming up, let's go to that. He's like, I don't like Lil' Kim. I'm like, who don't like Lil' Kim? He gonna say, oh, I don't like the crowd she attracts. I said, well, first of all, you obviously never saw her, because the crowd she attracts is regular. Like, they not bad people. So I'm confused as to, I said, you're being selfish. You just asked me what I want to do, and I'm telling you what I want to do, and you don't want to do it. You're not, like, that's not making me happy right now. You trying to get on my good graces. I didn't reach out to you. And he's like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. I said, this is exactly why I don't talk to you, because you don't know how to compromise. I'm telling you what I want to do, and you don't want to do it because you're making preconceived notions for shit you don't even know. Have you ever seen Lil' Kim? No. So how you gonna say she brings a bad crowd? You're stereotyping. That's what you're literally doing. Just like, you know, his mentality was very irritating to me. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt. When we met, it's funny because when we met, I was like, he looked like he got a stick up his ass. And sure enough, I was right. He was open-minded enough to talk to me, because he could have easily been like, oh, you live in the projects, I'm not talking to you. And I'm pretty sure there's people out there like that. You know, I'm kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if a dude be like, oh, I live in South Jamaica projects, I might be skeptical to talk to him, because I would want to know, like, you've been there all your life. Why is it that you ain't make moves to move somewhere else? Like, I would want to know, like, you know, like, I grew up in Linden Plaza and I moved to the projects, and I'm here because of financial issues. But if you don't have financial issues and you still live in there, what's wrong with you? That's that's what I would want to know. But yeah, my assumption about him, you know, was right. He had to stick up his ass and he was bougie. We went out one time to Denny's by me, because, you know, it's the first date, so I'm looking out for his pockets. Even if he had money, I'm like, whatever. We went to Denny's. It was a disaster. He had lipstick on the cup. Denny's, that Denny's on Pennsylvania Avenue is horrible. Don't go. I never went back after that, I don't think. But yeah, that was horrible. But yeah, so a lot of us are here because of pity. A lot of our grandmas and mamas, they didn't like our fathers. You know, they got with them because they would not leave them alone. Society be like, oh, he a good guy, get with him, and that's what they did. And what men do is they're not gonna come out and ask what's wrong. They're gonna go out and do them, you know. So and then as far as attraction, sometimes you could be attracted to someone and then lose attraction. So I think for every woman it's different. Like you do have women that do change their mind and be like, well, I didn't like him before, but I like him now, whatever. So I feel like you got to do that at your own pace. Don't just write somebody off because you just don't like them initially. I feel like you should build a friendship with them. If their personality is so fucked up to the point that you, because there are guys that I've met that I did not want to be friends with, and vice versa. I've had 2 guys tell me that they did not want to be friends with me, and they didn't explain why, but you know, I guess they feel like certain things about me they just don't like, and that's fine. We've all been rejected. For me not to want to be friends with somebody is because I feel like they are a messed up person. Like you sell drugs, or you know, you into stuff I'm not into, so no, we can't be friends, you know. But if you're an okay person, yeah, we could hang out, we could whatever, sure. But it really depends on your mentality. If you're a person that's lying to me and you're delusional, and there's some other things I look at in friendships too. But yeah. And the last thing he said, if you don't want the same things, that I 100% agree with. When Stephan said that, he said how he knows a client who she got with a guy who did not want to have kids at all. And they weren't even in a relationship. They were just in a talking phase. And 2 years later, like, he still, that's one thing I wanted to say with men. You have to listen to them when they talk. And my last situation, and I say situation because I feel like it was more of a situation than a relationship. You know, like, yeah, we hung out, we went places, but it was like a parked car with no tires. It wasn't going anywhere. So, and I'm like, I'm not attracted to him no more. He's not gonna change. There were certain things he said in the beginning, and I thought, well, he'll change his mind. No, he did not. Like, certain things, he was strict. He was like, this is not gonna happen. We're not doing this. And I admire that, because even though it was fucked up it was fucked up as far as I didn't benefit from it, but it taught me to keep my standards too. You know, he kept his standards. Like, no, yeah, he kept his standards with certain things. I'm not going to get into it now, but there were certain things. We met in 2018 and we started dating right away in 2019, and there were certain things that I asked, and he said flat out no. And years later, it's still no. And I admire that, because he stuck to his standards and his rules of what he wanted, and I didn't. See, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and he didn't really give me the benefit of the doubt. Like, he knew what he wanted and what he didn't want. And for me, I'm the one that gave him the benefit of the doubt. I let him in my home. You know, I let him around my child, and he already had it in his head, I'm not letting this bitch around my kids. I'm not bending the rules. I'm not doing anything, because this is what I want, and this is what the way it's gonna go. And it taught me to keep my standards. Don't listen to society and, oh, breaking your rules. Ladies, never break your rules, especially when you have a man he's not breaking his rules. He's not bending for nobody. So you got to be the same way with these men. If they give you bullshit, give them bullshit. If they give you for real. And it's not about being petty. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, that's being petty. It's not being petty. If you're going over the extra mile for people, and they not going the extra mile for you, you look stupid. And then you have some men that are so immature, they'll go around and they'll tell people, yeah, she do this and this and this and this for me. And then you look real stupid. But one thing about me, I introduced him as boo thing. I downplayed our relationship. Like, I wasn't out here like, oh yes, he's the one. Like, no, I wasn't being stupid either. So I was being very smart with how I presented him, how I talked about him around people. I was smart enough to not present him to my parents. I'm happy about that. You know, so I kind of like was filling him out too, in a sense. But yeah, that's very important. Number 3, with y'all can't come eye to eye with basic shit. Like, you know, like for me, I want more children if the guy is a good guy, you know, if I'm married. So that's important. Don't ask me to be a baby mother and you have no plans on marrying me. I'm not going to be a single mother again. I refuse. That's embarrassing. It's not just embarrassing, it's annoying. Like, I'm 34. Fuck I look like. But yeah, number 3 is the most important thing. Like, you know, you have to have the same mindset for things. Children, marriage, moving in together, spending holidays together. That's very important. If he don't want to spend holidays with you, please don't take him serious. And some people might be watching this like, oh, that's regular. No. Like, little things you could tell if you're not serious with a person. Things like cookouts, family cookouts. Somebody's graduating. My military ex, though we were only together for 9 months, it was more serious than my 3-year relationship. It really was. My military ex, when his brother graduated, I was there. When they had a cookout or whatever for Labor Day, I was there. Whenever there's a family function, I was there. So that's how you know. You know, some women, even my age, they forget, like, well, how do you know? If he posts you, if the whole world know about you, that's how you know. If only half of his cousins know about you, no. Everybody needs to know about you. Everybody, not just some people, right? Not just some people. Not just, oh, you bump into somebody by accident. Oh, no. This is my woman, and I'm proud that she's, you know, my lady type shit, you know. So, right. And he was around my father, so it was reciprocated too, you know. Though it be 9 months, I lost attraction and whatever. Now he's happily married, and I'm happy for him, you know. But with my recent ex, it wasn't like that. You know, it wasn't like that at all. So I knew not to take him serious. You know, I'm not about to take you serious, and the holidays is coming around, and stuff like funerals, I can't come. Weddings, baby showers, I can't come. You know, all it's like that says a lot of what you feel about me too. So, you know, but yeah, act accordingly, ladies. There's nothing wrong. I would say it's nothing wrong with being friends with benefits or the talking stage, but don't let it last but too long, because you are gonna, even if you don't fall in love, if it goes into 2 and 3 years, in the end you will feel stupid because it's time wasted, right? It's time wasted. So Stephan Speaks, go listen to him. He's on YouTube. Very, very smart man. And those are my thoughts.